UW360 is proudly supported by BECU. BECU, more than just money.
Today on UW360, the life-changing benefits of diagnosing autism earlier than ever are giving new hope to families coping with autism. Plus, keeping it real, how a new UW Master's program aims to give international study students real-world experience without even leaving campus. Also, which kind of degree do you think yields a better job these days, high tech or humanities? The answer might surprise you. And meet the local football player who's making a national name for himself as a record-breaking Husky running back, all on today's UW360. Hi everyone, from the University of Washington, I'm Carolyn Douglas. Welcome to UW360. Children in the U.S. with autism are typically diagnosed between the ages of 4 and 6. But did you know that most children with autism can be diagnosed as early as age 2, and in some cases, even earlier? Nicole Sanchez shows us how the UW Autism Center is leading the way in both research and support for people with autism and their families.
We started really seeing red flags, I think, right around his 1-year birthday. We had family come out and spend time, and we just kind of sat back and saw some things where he wasn't interacting with us.
Jennifer Sturm knew something wasn't right with her son Desmond.
Dummy.
He wasn't making eye contact, couldn't point at things, and wasn't interested in food. So at 17.5 months old, she had him tested for autism, a spectrum disorder that includes a range of challenges with social skills, repetitive behaviors, speech, and nonverbal communication.
I think you go through a grieving period a little bit, even if you are confident in, yes, there's something wrong with my child and I need to figure out what it is. For me, it was relief. It was vindication that I'm not crazy. I'm actually seeing my child is different than others, and we have a name for that now.
Desmond was diagnosed by the University of Washington's Autism Center. The nonprofit is a leader in both research and support for people with autism, their families, and caregivers. They say when a child is diagnosed early, it means an earlier start to services and support.
Our emphasis on early diagnosis and early treatment is because children at that age have much more of an opportunity to change their behaviors and to learn and grow.
And the focus is really on socially important skills and behaviors. So figuring out what areas an individual or a child needs to improve on and what types of potentially challenging behaviors we might need to help reduce or provide that individual with a better way to get their needs met.
UW researchers, in collaboration with a network of researchers from other universities, just completed a 10-year study. They looked at MRIs of the brain of children who had an older sibling with autism. Siblings have a 20% increased chance of also developing the syndrome. Researchers could see autism starting to develop in the brain for children as young as 6 months old.
One part of the surface of the brain is expanded in kids that go on to develop autism as compared to the infants that don't develop autism.
So I'm looking for her to look at me.
Those kind of brain changes increase and become clearer over time.
Yeah. Yes. Travel to TikTok.
Because just like Desmond's family has seen, there is power and hope in early diagnosis and intervention services. It can truly change the course of a life.
He points now, he uses hand gestures for more, he waves at us and he smiles and gives us eye contact and we play games. It's been just leaps and bounds improvement.
The UW Autism Center also received a grant to study even younger kids and is doing MRIs on babies as young as 3 months old. If you'd like to learn more about the UW Autism Center, just go to the link on our website at uwtv.org/UW360. Still to come, a new effort at the Labor Archives of Washington to showcase women's roles in shaping labor and industry in the Northwest. Plus, weighing the benefits of a science and tech degree versus a liberal arts degree. You might be surprised to hear what professors and student graduates are saying about that choice. And many said he was just too small to play major college football. Fortunately, Coach Chris Peterson didn't see it that way, or he might have lost out on one of the best runners in Husky history. Meet Myles Gaskin as UW 360 continues.
Support provided by the 10-month Applied International Studies Masters at the Henry M. Jackson School.
Welcome back to UW 360. A new University of Washington master's program recreates high-level diplomatic conflicts, multicultural business entanglements, and natural disasters to help students build skills they can use around the world to change the world. Those who have completed the Jackson School's Masters in Applied International Studies say those drills can feel incredibly real.
I participated in the South China Sea dispute. I was China.
Medj Banniode was assigned the role of a Chinese diplomat when her class participated in a recreation of an international diplomatic crisis. She negotiated alongside ambassadors, military leaders, and business executives.
There were pretend UN councils and experts, and we exchanged messages, and it was very real and it was very intense. There was definitely a lot to learn in that process.
Learning to work effectively with governments, nonprofits, and companies to solve global challenges is a key platform of the Jackson School's Masters in Applied International Studies, or MAIS, program.
Sometimes we'd have to pretend to be a technology company and solve it from a tech perspective, or others were a policy or a security company or the government itself. And so it was always this scenario building. How would you react? How would you do? We were also really exposed to events in the community, whether hosted by the Gates Foundation or Global Washington or any other members of the advisory council that would host events, give us a chance to network and learn more about what opportunities there are out in the field. I was paired with Starbucks as part of my capstone project at the MAIS program. I was paired with the ethical sourcing team and worked on a research project with them. There's a link.
Banniode's fellowship led to a full-time job working on Starbucks' refugee hiring initiative.
Every day I go home feeling incredibly proud to be a partner.
Graduates of international studies programs often go on to careers in foreign policy, global development, or international security. But, like Banniode, more and more are finding work in the business world.
The MAIS program really helped show me the different ways in which all these different players interact with one another.
One of the people Banniode collaborates with at Starbucks is Senior Vice President for Public Affairs, Rajiv Chandrasekaran. The former Washington Post foreign correspondent and author is an advisor to the MAIS program. He talks about Starbucks' social impact initiatives, which include refugee and veteran hiring, sustainability, and education.
It's not simply enough to make a philanthropic contribution from the Starbucks Foundation or to say, hey, this is a problem. We want to actually use our scale to help address this in the communities in which we operate.
That philosophy is part of a private sector trend, and Seattle is at the forefront, making it an increasingly important international influencer.
In Microsoft and Amazon and Starbucks, there's no secret that these companies are truly global. They are agile and innovative, and then that has created all sorts of magical spin-offs, and it's created a very dynamic world of philanthropy and global engagement through all of that. I think being in Seattle provides a freedom of sorts to be able to really think about problems in an innovative way.
But as MAIS students learn, thinking up a solution is one thing, negotiating it is another.
There were some not pretty days, but I think for the most part it really shaped me as a professional.
Banniode says in addition to the interesting professionals and leaders she met in the program, She also learned a lot from her fellow students, many of whom came from other countries and had diverse professional backgrounds. Now from international studies to liberal arts. As tech fields have skyrocketed, so have the number of students seeking degrees in those fields. On campuses all across the country, fewer students are enrolling in humanities classes. But as Stacy Sakamoto reports, faculty and recent graduates say those tech students could be missing out.
Mornings like this are really peaceful because the garden is quiet and all you hear are the birds and sometimes the squirrels.
This is Nat Mengist's office. Bountiful vegetable and herb beds in Seattle's Wallingford neighborhood.
That's good.
He's found his calling as the head of the Children's Garden Program at Tilth Alliance.
So any of these really dark brown flower heads are gonna...
It's a very different job than he envisioned when he enrolled at the University of Washington 6 years ago, intending to study medical science. But he quickly realized he wouldn't be happy working in a lab.
And so I took a break from math and chemistry, and I wanted to know more about plants and about different ways of thinking about them.
He discovered a new path in the College of Arts and Sciences.
I graduated from the University of Washington in 2015 with a bachelor's in the comparative history of ideas.
In arts and sciences, you could go anywhere.
Mengist's story is a familiar one to Robert Stacy, Dean of the UW College of Arts and Sciences. He's seen liberal arts degrees lead to a wide range of satisfying and rewarding careers. But in recent years, fewer students are majoring in some liberal arts fields, and it's not unique to UW.
Right across the country, we're seeing significant declines in the number of students who are majoring in humanities and in what you might call the humanistic social sciences. History, philosophy, geography, so on.
Dean Stacy says students and parents often worry that a liberal arts graduate will have a tough time finding a job. He says that's not true because a liberal arts graduate has keen analytic and communication skills that can make him or her a valuable team member.
My prep at the UW was perfect for what I'm doing now. It's about education, and it's about health and nutrition. It's also about environment and sustainability. This one's calendula, and so there's all these different issues and opportunities to connect, sprinkle them in and plant them. Just watch out for the hose.
Mengist says his degree in comparative history of ideas helps him find those connections.
You have to be able to know how to ask questions and know why you're asking the questions you're asking, and know in that process what questions are being left out.
It seems to me the whole point of an undergraduate education ought to be to equip people to see those connections and to make new connections.
Let's try the snap piece.
To have a way of making sense of the world and of the new things that are going to keep coming at us in this world.
Awesome. How wonderful is that? It's a gift to be able to get paid to learn.
The College of Arts and Sciences has created a short quiz that shows students where they can go with a liberal arts degree. By answering 3 short questions, they can find stories of alumni like Nat, whose careers might match their interests. You can find a link to that quiz on our website. Still ahead, meet star Husky running back Myles Gaskin. But first, learn about one woman's mission to inspire workers of the future by sharing stories of the past from women who helped shape labor and industry in the Northwest, as UW 360 continues.
Support for UW 360 is provided by the Labor Archives of Washington. Learn more about researching at the Labor Archives and donating collections at laborarchives.org.
Welcome back to UW 360. The Labor Archives of Washington, hosted at the University of Washington, has a mission to record the struggles of local labor communities. And now, thanks to an endowment, The archives are going to collect and process the stories of an extremely important group that's often neglected in the history books: women. Austin Siedentopf spoke with the giver of the endowment, a labor activist herself, and a commercial ship captain, whose story the archive hopes to soon capture.
I mean, some of the stories, if I told you, you would think that I was making it up or I was crazy.
Lila Smith started her career in 1998 and soon became the first ever Woman International Transport Federation inspector, making sure that all sorts of ships coming through Puget Sound were following laws and regulations.
The first ship I went on by myself was in Everett, and I found $65,000 that the company had not paid the crew. They, of course, paid the crew before they left the dock.
Lila was not just a guardian for international shipping crews. She became an advocate for working women by standing up to the discrimination she faced for being a woman in what was traditionally a man's world.
Some of the guys were pretty upfront that they would prefer that women were not there. What do women think they're doing applying for these jobs? These jobs are for men who have families to raise. And I'm thinking, okay, I have 3 kids at home. Let me take that home and see if it'll fly.
From ensuring that women received equal pay to demanding uniforms for women, Lila has been a constant voice of empowerment. And now she's giving an endowment to the Labor Archives of Washington to gather and record similar stories.
While we have some stories about working women, people that were involved with, say, different unions as leaders, as reform advocates, we don't have enough.
I am so excited about Connor and the Labor Archives being able to go out and interview a ton of other women and get their stories.
One of the first women whose stories the Archives wants to capture is Captain Catherine Sweeney, the first woman to captain for shipping giant Matson Navigation.
I was a captain on a 720-foot long container ship going back and forth between Hawaii and the West Coast.
In 2001, Captain Sweeney and her crew received international acclaim for rescuing a Japanese fishing crew on stormy seas. Having served with distinction, Captain Sweeney set her sights on another first, becoming the first woman maritime pilot for Puget Sound.
At that point, it dawned on me, because I read that I was going to have to wear a tie and a sport coat. And I thought, wow, they haven't done anything to prepare for their first woman.
Similar to Lila, Captain Sweeney encountered a system of nepotism, an old boys' club. There wasn't even a women's restroom for her to use.
They kept putting more and more barriers in place. And finally, at the end, they ended my training program and opted not to give me a pilot license.
In 2014, she successfully sued the pilot board for discrimination, and it's Catherine's full story the Labor Archives wants to capture in detail.
You know, I was really delighted to know that they're archiving the history of the labor movement and things that have gone on, especially in Puget Sound. You know, I don't consider myself interesting, but I know I would have liked to have learned about some of this when I was going through school.
And so if you don't get the stories now, they're not going to be there. How's my granddaughter ever going to know, and my nieces and my grandnieces? And if they ever stumble upon looking at unions from a women's perspective, then they should have some place to go to find the stories.
The Labor Archives of Washington is already beginning to plan to collect, preserve, and provide access to new stories from working women's history. Captain Catherine Sweeney is running a successful maritime auditing company, and Lila Smith is serving as a member of a counseling committee to the Harry Bridges Center. Straight ahead, the star football player who's running right into the Husky history books. Myles Gaskin is the local kid who's already made a national name for himself, and he just keeps getting better. His story next on UW 360. Welcome back to UW 360. Over the years, the University of Washington football team has pumped out some terrific running backs. Guys like Napoleon Kaufman and Joe Steele, just to name a couple. And now you can add another name to that impressive list, Myles Gaskin. The junior running back is tearing it up again this season and making a serious run on the record books. Aaron Mayofsky has his story.
And there goes Myles Gaskin again. How do you do, Mr. Gaskin?
Size doesn't matter when you talk about Myles Gaskin.
Touchdown!
At 190 pounds, the junior tailback is a punishing runner.
Gaskin up the middle.
Setting records is his game.
It's Gaskin right up the middle. Broke the tackle. Touchdown. A new school record.
Gaskin does it all. And for a local guy from Linwood, being a Husky with Coach Chris Peterson is everything.
His thing is built for life, and it's made us all take the next steps. I can see it in every single one of us. My parents can tell when they talk to me that I've matured in multiple ways. So I mean, he's put a foundation in us where, yes, we're all about football, but at the same time, we are going to be great men or great fathers, great sons in the long run.
He really is trying to get better, and he's played a lot of football, he's had a lot of carries, and he still knows he has some really good upside to him, and now he's really working on the fine details of the game, and he's passionate about it. I'm always so impressed. We go out to practice. He's completely committed to this whole thing, and you love to be around. You like to coach guys like that.
Gaskin looking to add to it. Gaskin gets better with each game. In fact, he's literally run for miles in his UW career, racking up more than 1,300 in each of his first 2 seasons and adding more this year. When you talk about Myles, it's not just about the X's and O's, it's about mom and dad, his true foundation.
One of the greatest moments that I had was after the Pac-12 championship. Like, the only person I was looking for was my parents, and I seen them. And I mean, like, out of all those people that I could find my parents, it was a real emotional time, so it's cool. Always having your parents around. At the end of the day, it's just a blessing.
If Gaskin sticks around next season for his senior year, he could become the Huskies' all-time leading rusher.
And I think this is one of those type of things where I'll be able to have connections, be able to set up my own platform, and be able to make a difference in whatever community I'm in at the time. And I think that is like the Husky tradition.
Gaskin still has 1 more year of eligibility, but there's a chance he could skip his senior year and enter the NFL draft next spring. So until then, Myles says he's going to enjoy the ride and some of his mom's home cooking while he's playing here at home. And that does it for this edition of UW 360. If you'd like more information on any of the stories you saw today, just head to our website at uwtv.org/UW360. You'll also find us on Facebook and Twitter. I'm Carolyn Douglas. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time with all new stories from the University of Washington.